want to welcome you all here today to the First United Church of Christ in Mount Pleasant. Today's gospel comes from Luke. It comes from chapter 12, verses 13 through 21. One of the multitude said to him, "Teacher, bid my brother divide the inheritance with me." He said to him, "Man, who made me judge or divider over you?" And Jesus said to them, "Take heed, and beware of all covetousness. For a man's life does not consist on the abundance of his possessions." And he told them a parable, saying, "The land of a rich man brought forth plentiful. And he thought to himself, what shall I do? For I have nowhere to store my crops." And he said, "I will do this. I will pull down all my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, eat, drink, be merry." But God said to him, "Fool, this night your soul is required of you, and all the things you have prepared, whose will they be?" So he who lays up treasures for himself is not rich towards God. The gospel. Lord, at this time and place we come to join together to reflect, to hear your words. Speak to us that we may be your people and the light to the world. This gospel of Luke is so critical. Especially when Jesus says, "Take heed and be aware of all covetousness. For a man's life does not consist of the abundance of his possessions." This is Jesus talking. You know, it's preached to all of us. To all of us that money isn't everything. That abundance cannot bring you happiness. We're familiar with the words. I think one of the things we hear from early on. Money isn't going to bring happiness. But truly, for most of us, we think about it a lot. Though Jesus says we're not going to be happy with the abundance of our possessions, isn't that more what many of us practice or believe? Now, from my experiences, there are a lot of folks, a lot of people with more abundance than me. Maybe you or I, any of us, really. And we try to think about this. We look at this, we see what they have, and we contemplate this gospel test, the teaching of Christ. Who among us has pondered, even just in our own minds, if I had even a fraction of the wealth that I see that's out there that some people have, that some people flaunt, how many good things, how many more things I could do with just a bit more of their expendable wealth. And in our envy for what others have and what we do not, we become even more consumed and maybe stingy with the gifts and the blessings that have been given us by God. That God has placed in our possession to do the greater good, to do His will. You know, it's been proven in many circumstances. They might be considered primitive tribes or the primitive society. societies. You know, they can be indigenous. They can go for generations and generations and generations, hundreds of generations, and be sustainable. They continue. Generation, like I said, each generation they might not have a lot, but it's stable. It continues. It does not run away. It does not erode. But how quickly, if they are introduced to our modern sense of living, how quickly their stable culture decays and dies. At one point I was thinking about, there was a study some years ago about lost languages and cultures that go with it. And I believe it was an African woman, very old African woman. She was the last of her tribe. The last one who knew this language, and they were interviewing her, trying to, at least, have some record of this language that she had. At that time, she was living in this concrete building that was made for her, or built for her and her community through these so-called missionaries to give them a better way of life and introduce them to modern living. She lived in despair and in poverty. And when interviewed, she stated she wished she could go back to living the way she did when she still had her family and her village in the jungle. Primitive, yes, as it was. But then, even without all the stuff that we think was so necessary to include them that society promised to make them happy, it led to failure. Back then, she was happy. She was truly happy, she said, formally. The community was there without the stuff, none of the treasures that was promised that she would have to modernize, what the amenities would do to promote a better way of living. Back then, their life, their community was happy. We need to look at this, We're promoted ourselves every day. We're bombarded in the media and all. You go down the streets or sign things we need to buy to make ourselves more full, more happy. It's a farce. Every scrap of media is bombarding us to sell us some false goods. Because the reality is to be happy and fulfilled, it's about relationships, spiritual stability, that which withstands the sands of time, that which is of faith, that which is taught us as the truth and was opened to us through the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now I know, and I'm a culprit of this as well, all of us are about borders. We all are borders a little bit. Maybe, I don't know, again, I know some people have Christmas cards from generations ago, once a year they go out and look for all these things. Only when they die, they still get dumped in the garbage. But there's many other ways. We're a bit borders. And I know we are curious and sometimes grossed out by the stuff on the media that shows extreme versions of hoarding. And I try not to be. I try to keep this 3-year rule that, if I don't use it within 3 years, something I've been keeping for some reason, if I haven't had utility for 3 years, it's time to sell it, or scrap it, or somehow get rid of it, dispose of it, give it away. The minute you get rid of that, you're going to need it. We're all subjected to that. That feeling But amongst all this, amongst all our trimmings and trappings, does any of this, does that really add to our happiness? Does any of that we think of this world that we need so much of to be comfortable, have a true impact, a durable and eternal impact on the soul, or have influence when it comes to our salvation? And Jesus point blank tells us it does not. The stuff that we so obsessed with, the treasures we hoard of this world, keep us and restrain us from having that happiness, that relationship with our God, with Christ, with one another that we should have. It alienates us from the treasures of love we could really know if our souls were more attached to God and to Jesus. This sort of paraphrase, but it states in Luke 12:21. He who lays up treasures for himself is not rich towards God. Or put another way, he who lays treasures up for himself of this world, they have not vested themselves properly in the wealth that is our God. Shall we not? Gracious God, help us to understand the true worth that is of our lives. Not the stuff, not the things we collect here, not the titles, not any of the things that are worldly and passive. Help us to invest in that which is eternal, which is of love, which is of you. Your trust that we can be the people, the children we are meant to be. Gracious God, there are those in this community who need your help and healing. We ask your grace to be upon them. People like Mindy Edmonds, Marie Hirsch, the Anderson family, the Shaw family, Helen Bellinger, Kimmy Cation, Billy Butler, Susan Wiltrout, Mia Wadsworth, Nancy Seaver, Ethel Benedict, Van Lester, Bill and Deb Bach, and Regis Franklin. And gracious God, we're also raising these names to you now for your help and for your healing. Gracious God, as you know best, keep, help, and protect and guide us in your ways. This we ask in Jesus' name, who taught us to pray, saying,
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For that is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
We look forward to joining with you